Hello, everyone. This is Maureen, and welcome back to another day, excuse me, of praying through the darkness. Now, my devotional book for this year is titled 365 Days of Prayer for Depression and Anxiety. And this little blue book can be found at Amazon. I've left a link for you down in the description box. It is put out by Broad Street Publishers. And folks, if you go and check out Broad Street Publishers, I'm going to tell you that they have a wonderful line of devotionals covering many topics. So, whenever I was looking for a new book for us to go through this year, that's where I went. Anyway, there is a link for this down in the description box if you wish to have your own copy. Now, our title for today is Unseen. And the Bible verse we'll be looking at comes from 2 Corinthians 4:18. But before we get into it, I have a question for you. Unseen. What does that automatically come to mind for you? Are you thinking that maybe you would like to be unseen? Just melt back into the my granny used to say the what do you call it, wallpaper, especially like if you're at a party, or if you're in a crowd. Don't you just wish sometimes you could have that cloak from Harry Potter that had the spell of invisibility, just fade away? Well, today we're going to see that the word unseen has a totally different meaning. And I hope that you will stay here with me as we not only look at the verse and the prayer that's offered, but I have a couple of questions that I'd like to ask you towards the end to give you some food for thought for the rest of the day. So here we go. 2 Corinthians 4:18. We don't focus our attention on what is seen, but on what is unseen. For what is seen is temporary, but the unseen realm is eternal. What do you think it's talking about there? Definitely not us. So let's carry on. God, what I focus my attention on matters. Your kingdom is full of the treasures found in your unfailing love. When I spend my time caught up in the changing circumstances of my life without grounding myself in the reality of eternity, it can be overwhelming. When I shift my awareness to your character, I am looking with eyes that see the promise of your kingdom to come, because you are faithful to do all you said you would. Help me to fix my eyes on you, the author and perfecter of my faith. You never waver in kindness, and your compassion never ends. When I look for evidence of your goodness, I will surely find it. Lord, help me to fix my eyes on you and our eternity, rather than on the momentary troubles that surround me. Give me your perspective so I may see the way that you do. Fill my thoughts with your love, Lord, and make me more like you. So, this verse is not talking to us about ourselves. It's talking about having faith in what we cannot see. Now, I jotted down some thoughts here, so if you give me just a moment, I'll pull them up. Okay. So, this verse is telling us that, all of this here is temporary. And yes, we don't always have a lot of control over what's going on around us because there's so many extenuating factors, so many shifting parts. But the one thing that we can hold on to is something we can't see, and that's God, heaven. We have to have faith in knowing that God has prepared a better place for us. This verse itself is a very powerful reminder That, like I said, everything around us is temporary. But the things that are not seen, such as our relationship with God, our character, our eternal destiny, those are the things that truly matter. This verse calls us to live by faith, not by sight. We can't see God, but our heart tells us He's real. Our faith in Him tells us He is real. We can't see heaven, but we know that that's where He is. He has promised to prepare a place for us. So, in our mind and eyes, we call that heaven. And if that place is where He is, isn't that something joyous to look forward to? But like I said, it's not something we can see. We just have to believe. We have to have the faith to know that it is real. So these are my thoughts that I jotted down for you. What are some of the things that you see that you really tend to focus on? How much money you have in the bank, your worldly possessions. Maybe you want power and popularity. But are these really things that matter in this life? I have to agree with everyone to a certain extent. Yes, I want enough money to be comfortable, pay my bills, and maybe have a little bit left over. Do I want to be a millionaire? No, because that brings along with it its own set of problems. Do I want a nice, comfortable house? Yes. Do I want a nice, reliable car so I can get around everywhere that I need to be? Yes. Do I want enough power to have control over my life? Yes. But there's just so much that affects how much power we have and how much power we are willing to give up. And folks, I gave up a long time ago trying to be popular. Now, in school, did I want to be with the popular girls? Of course I did. Everybody wanted to be in the popular crowd. But now, as an adult, it's much more important for me to be real so that there's no misunderstanding when I start a relationship, a friendship with someone, that they get the wrong impression. I want them to know exactly who I am. And so, therefore, I'm not going to be popular with a lot of folks. So now let's talk about some of the things that are unseen. And of course, that takes us to our own personal religious realm. Like, do we see God? Do we see heaven? What are some ways that we can see that? I see God every day. I see God in the giggle of a child. I see God when I see someone stopping just a moment to help someone. Not because they expect payment in return, but just because they see a need and they're going to take care of it for that person. I see heaven in my mind of exactly what God has told us in His Word. It's going to be a joyous place. It's going to be where there are no more tears. That my body that hurts sometimes beyond the point of being able to just get up out of bed, I'm not going to have that anymore. To me, heaven is a place of joy and peace and continual praise, singing, because that's one of the things I love to do. So, but those are things I can't see. I can only imagine. And I promise you that the little bit that I imagine about what heaven is probably maybe measured by the size of a mustard seed. And we all know that those things are tiny. So, how can we practically, there you go, that's the word I want, live out this verse from 2 Corinthians every single day? One, read your Bible. The only way we know what it is that God is telling us and wants us to know is to search Him in His Word every day. Prayer. Spend time in prayer with Him. Prayer does not have to follow an outline. Prayer is just a conversation with God. And many times I've used the example, if you don't know where to start, stick a chair in front of you. Imagine Him sitting there. If you need to, put a teddy bear there. Something that you can focus in on and say, God, I want to talk to you. And by talking with Him, by reading the scriptures, we begin to see more and more who He is. And we then begin to build our faith stronger and stronger and stronger every day to know that we're not alone. We are not unseen by Him. We may be by the world. We may feel like that we walk through a crowd and nobody even knows we're there. But God does. God knows everything about us. He sees us from the moment we are born until the moment He calls us home. So, as Christians, what are some things that we face in trying to focus in on God, on eternity? Distractions of the world, sin, Satan always trying to pull us off the path that God has lined out for us. And folks, I have told you this before and I will tell you time and time again. Just because we have put our faith and our lives in God's hands does not mean that we are now protected from the barbs of Satan. No, he is going to attack us more and more and more because you didn't have to worry about those that don't believe, that haven't accepted God. He's already got them. He wants us back. He wants us to doubt. He wants us to see that we are unworthy of God's love. God's not going to let that happen. And by focusing on those things that we cannot see, by having the faith that is called on through reading our Bible, through prayer with Him, that is what keeps us from not worrying about who sees us, but worrying about, or really not worrying about, I shouldn't have used that word, but by focusing in on who does see us. And as far as I'm concerned, and I hope you are too, the fact that God sees us, knows our worth, that should be enough for us. So I want you to think about this as you go throughout your day. We are citizens of heaven. We don't belong to this world anymore. Our true home is with Him, and that is where our focus should be. Our focus should be living our life for Him while we're here, and then looking forward to the life that we're going to have once we are called home. And I want you to think of this verse also as being a source of encouragement for you throughout difficult times. Whenever we do start down that slippery slope that takes us into the darkness, we can remember, we can remind ourselves that these shadows, they're only temporary. Because remember, yea, though you walk through the valley of the shadow of death, He is with you. He's not going to forsake you. He's going to be right there with you. You're not alone. He's going to give you the courage, the stamina, the whatever it is that you need to get through it and start the path back up to the mountaintops. We may not always be able to see what God's plan is, but if we focus in on Him, follow His lead, be willing to push everything of the world aside and focus our eyes on Him, really that's all that matters. I don't care if I am seen by the world or not. I want to be seen by God, my Creator, my Father. This verse, I hope, helps you to transform your thinking. I know many of you already know that our lives are to be lived by faith, that things of this world, they're going to change, they're going to dissolve, they're going to go away. Um, and our life here is just temporary. We are meant to spend eternity in a much better place. And God wants us there. So please remember throughout the day, don't worry about what is going on around you. Truly, don't worry about what's going on around you. Take a few moments, spend some time in His Word today. Offer up a prayer, a conversation with God, and then let Him take you by the hand. Let Him know that He's right there, that you are right there with Him, following His plan and loving every minute of it. I know that last little bit might have sounded a little corny, but when we follow what God has planned for us, we can't help but just step a little lighter, have a little bit wider smile on our face. Because you know what? We are a child of God. And by being seen by Him, that's all that matters. Thank you so much for being here today. I do hope that you stayed here to the end because I want to remind you to be sure and hit that like button. And if you're not a subscriber, thank you so much for being here. But if you want to hear more about praying through the darkness, please be sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell that has those little hugs on the side because it will let you know every time I upload content. So until tomorrow, please always remember that when the doubts of life try to crowd in on you, just turn your eyes upward and remember that you are not alone. God loves you and He will protect you. Till I see you tomorrow, remember I love you. Bye.